you found healing in some way in your life and it inspired you and you realized that you could turn around and support other people in it too, and you felt that calling in your heart so, so deeply. But then underneath that, it's your skills and your ability in which you can actually do that while removing yourself. So it's both a balance between how you support yourself and your ability to then turn around and support your clients in it as well. Welcome to the Rylee June Show. I'm your host, Rylee June, international intuition coach and spiritual activator. This podcast is designed for the souls who are ready to dive into what spirituality, consciousness, and healing truly is like. Here you will find the conversations and insight most spiritual teachers aren't willing to have. Why? Because we pull back the curtain on what truly takes place as you move through your healing journey, the duality of the light and the dark, and the role ethics and integrity undeniably play in your ascension experience. I have had the pleasure of working with tens of thousands of people, from clients, stories shared through messenger chats, and others in the industry to know exactly what this journey will look like for you. These episodes will share conversations of industry leaders bridging the gap to the new paradigm of reality, and individuals sharing their heart through their soul's journey they've been through and what they've learned along the way. So if you're ready to go deep, unlock truth, and activate into the blueprint of you, this is going to be a space you're not going to want to miss out every Monday. Are you ready? Let's activate. Welcome back to another session. If we're just connecting for the first time, my name is Rylee June. I'm going to be your host on the Rylee June Show podcast. I'm really excited about today's episode for a couple of reasons. One, I'm recording this after Revolution the Masterclass, which was a 90-minute excerpt of what you're going to experience within the Align and Ascend Mastermind. And we covered some really powerful things that are equally going to be relevant to our topic today: the law of cause and effect, the energy update for June, and why you may be seeking exactly what the Align and Ascend Mastermind is here to provide for you. So first, let's just talk about an overarching experience from tonight's masterclass. The three things that we covered in this masterclass was clearly defining your next step, where you're losing out on sales in your business, and redefining your why. Why these three specific topics are equally relevant to the law of cause and effect, because the law of cause and effect states that for every action, there is an equal reaction. Meaning that for everything that you do, everything that you think, everything that you experience, there is equally a ripple effect that is going to take place from that space. And that's not a good or bad thing. It's neutral. Energy, frequencies, vibrations, they are neutral. They have no emotional attachment to them. We place the emotional attachment to it. And when you're emotionally charged about the struggle of your next step, or why you're not consistently receiving the sales in your business that you have been praying on, wishing on, journaling on, and on the days where you want to throw in the towel because it seems too complicated, you don't know where to start, or you've been doing this for so long that it's like bang your head against the wall. Why can't I figure this out? In those moments, you are placing an emotional piece on top of the logical, relational, meaning that you have this relationship to this problem that you are struggling with, and you're placing this emotional meaning on top of it, which is creating a different type of signature, versus if you were just sitting there and really processing what's all going on, why you can't figure it out, and what are potential opportunities or things that you can do about it in any one of those categories. Finding the courage to keep going, figuring out how to create more sales in your business or generate more sales, and really understanding your next clear step. The reason you're struggling the most with it is because you've placed such a big emotional attachment to that struggle in regards to what it means about you. When if you take yourself out of the equation, it's just a challenge that you faced in an area or a genre of something that you've never done before. It's why you don't know the answer. Or in the consistency of sales, what you can do, again, to support yourself in learning or developing or acquiring these skills to be able to generate more sales, or even just overcoming the very thing that you want to throw the towel in for. This episode, if you haven't figured it out yet, I guess, is very much going to be tailored towards spiritual entrepreneurs. We're going to be doing a series of this for at least the month of June, because I'm really starting to see a big influx of spiritual entrepreneurs, whether you're just getting started, you've learned a modality, or you want to learn a modality and you want to offer it as a service, or for those of you who are in your first to third years of business and you're feeling like you've been scratching your head for far too long and you just are so sick and tired of not knowing the answer. I've been seeing a lot of you coming to me for support. So we're going to do a series for the month of June. And if you're tuning into this podcast because you've really loved it for your personal development and spiritual development purposes, you're still going to be able to take away something from this as well, because I'll attribute the law of cause and effect, there's the words, to why that's also going to be relevant to you, and equally the energy update for the month of June. I'm getting to that point in my pregnancy where it feels like everything I do is running a marathon. So if you hear me where I'm like breathing, I'm going to try and edit some of this stuff out. But honestly, for the most part, I probably will do very minimal editing. So we're just going to evolve in this pregnancy together as I still get to deliver you really great content. So let's just make a deal that we're all okay with that right off the bat. Okay, so in particular, with the law of cause and effect, because we place emotional meanings to what we're struggling with, we will now diminish our ability to be able to actually logically or even tangibly figure out what's going on underneath the surface. Now, I want to context that this is easier said than done, especially if you've never figured out or know how to remove your emotions from the equation. This is like basically saying, hey, just relax, right? Okay, good luck. How am I supposed to do that when I'm stressed out, right? If you don't know how, you're going to struggle with actually being able to do so, actually being able to relax, actually being able to, in this context, remove the emotions. But for my spiritual entrepreneurs, this is so vitally important, not only for you being able to tangibly and logically solve your problems, even intuitively, but also to be able to tangibly, logically, and intuitively solve and support your clients in ultimately solving their own problems. This is where the skill set of deeper transformation is so important, both in the spiritual foundation in which you are teaching your clients and how you're guiding them into that connection, as well as, if not more importantly, the emotional component for them to be able to understand how they're processing and the ways in which they're moving through emotions, as well as number 3, cognitively. How are their behaviors playing a role? And it's one thing to say, get radically honest for yourself, honest with yourself. But if you don't know what that looks like, what questions to ask, how to assess, the ways in which to process that understanding, you're always going to struggle with, okay, so do I journal? Like, is this an affirmation thing? It might not even be any of that. Right? So when we look at developing our skill sets and being able to apply science and biology and cognitive understanding to our spiritual practice, we really start to be able to understand that there is this whole other mechanism that's taking place beyond just this surface level of processing. And when I say surface level of processing, I mean things like journaling from journal prompts, or free flow writing, or meditating, or even affirmations in the mirror. So not that meditating, journaling, and affirmations in the mirror aren't helpful, and meditation has its levels and layers of depth, but the same thing applies. If your solution for your clients is to meditate on it, and they don't have any cognitive, emotional, or spiritual foundation to connect with going into that, they're never going to be able to actually achieve the results or the transformation that the meditation is actually supposed to provide for them. So how this relates to the law of cause and effect is, if you are struggling with the belief that your services are worthy of compensation, or you're struggling with the challenge to bring in more consistent sales, or you're struggling with not throwing in the towel because there's so many reasons why you want to right now, or so much evidence of why you should, it is likely because of a lack of skill set surrounding these three things in your in how you can support people, because how you can support people is equally how you're supposed to be supporting yourself, right? So it's in your spiritual foundation. Where are you connected to, and what are you sourcing your information from? How understanding are you of your emotions, and how much have you practiced separating your emotions from your reality, the things that you're struggling with? And cognitively, how honest are you being with yourself? And are you assessing your behaviors, your routines, the thoughts, the mentality behind what it is, in fact, that you're thinking surrounding these struggles? Do you know how to actually manage your thoughts? I teach this in the Align and Ascend Mastermind in depth because it's something that I've constantly witnessed a lot of spiritual entrepreneurs lacking. And to no fault of their own, I really don't see many people talking about this or even sharing why this is of importance and value. And I've done a couple episodes in different variations on this. And ultimately, not only is it there for you to protect your clients, but as well to protect your business and yourself. These three core, not experiences, what's the word I'm looking for? Pregnancy brain is really kicking in for me lately. And I don't like to blame external factors, but it's on another level. Context. So these three elements of your skill set, how you support your clients, is so vitally important, because you're essentially positioning yourself as a therapist, though legally we cannot say that we are, nor can we put that in any parts of our description. But the work that you're doing is very similar. And a lot of spiritual practitioners disregard or are not informed or really don't understand the severity and the importance, really the honor that it is to hold space for someone when they're going through their problems. And that is so beautiful to get and to want to serve people through. You likely want to show up or are showing up because you found healing in some way in your life and it inspired you, and you realized that you could turn around and support other people in it too, and you felt that calling in your heart so deeply. But then underneath that, it's your skills and your ability in which you can actually do that while removing yourself. So it's both a balance between how you support yourself and your ability to then turn around and support your clients in it as well. I can't help but to take a moment to pause you right here and share with you my favorite beauty skincare line that exists that I have come across. The Province Beauty line is an all-natural, 100% vegan product that is incredibly effective for someone with sensitive skin. Someone like me who, even just switching my foundation, creates breakouts, red spots, itchiness, dryness, all the things. I have never had a problem with this product and have only had great results. From someone who also suffers super dry skin in the winter, their products help to get me through with glowing and radiant skin. Not only are they an incredible product, but they also are wildly affordable. And in the show notes, they have offered you an additional 10% off with my code. hit up the show notes and go check them out. And if you love all things beauty and skincare, health and healing and support, you're definitely going to want to check them out. Province Beauty for all your skincare needs. The masterclass that we did tonight really dug into this because this is something that you're probably going to hear me talk about on repeat over and over again because it is just so important. And it's important because in a similar context as therapy, therapists are licensed to a board. So if something were to arise or go astray within their sessions, they have the legal and insured protection by a board to be able to support them. Spiritual entrepreneurs don't. That's why policies and contracts and really defining and explaining your scope of work, both so that you understand it and something for your clients to be able to sign and read when they come to you, is really vitally important. And in the Alignment and Mastermind, we really talk about this, not only from the training perspective for understanding, but also the tangible and what you can do and where and how you can incorporate this stuff as you're growing and building your businesses and services, even if you're just starting out with a skill set and building your first offer, or if you've been doing this for some time and your business requires some cleanup on the back end of stuff. Spiritual entrepreneurs have this idea, and I'm going to generalize this, so if it doesn't resonate with you, don't take it as yours. But spiritual entrepreneurship has this idea that you basically just find a modality, you learn it, and you somehow show up online. You somehow build the bravery and the courage to show up online, and you just start telling people that you have this great offer. You learned Reiki, and it can help them in ABCD ways, and then that's just it. And you put a price on it, and you're just going to magically make all this money. But the truth is that doesn't work. Actually, in fact, really ever at all. Like it does, and you need it initially to really build and grow trust within what you do and who you are, and to support a community. But there are other factors along the way that are relevant to really, one, the belief that you then have within yourself, two, the discernment to be able to separate yourself from a client, and three, to really actually understand how to run a business. Just because you receive payments does not mean you actually run a business. It means that you have a good or a service that people want. And until you really start to establish some of the back end cleanup stuff and honestly even understand how to run a business, you're mainly just swapping goods for money. And I don't mean to put anyone out when I share that and dim the light on where you're at. But I had someone share this with me, and at first it was hard to hear, but then it really made me realize that what I was doing needed more effort and understanding into it to actually be able to build what now is incredibly sustainable for myself and my family today. And that's what I want for you. I know you want to help people heal because you found such a profound transformation in it. And because of the law of cause and effect, something happened to you in your life, tragic, traumatic, overwhelming, anxious-ridden, sad, angering, all those things. And there was an effect. Something happened because of that, right? So someone bullied you, someone did something to you, whatever the case may be, and there was an effect on your life, meaning that you then took actions from that place of whether it was lack of worthiness you developed or feeling not seen or heard, or not being worthy of being seen or heard, or feeling rejection, so you push people away, or feeling lack of confidence, or a sense of humbleness that if you just stay in the background that everything will just work out, however that plays out in your life, right? Or if you just give and show up online and do things for free, eventually it's going to pay off. So something took place in your life that led you to a place for you to believe something that you're now struggling with. And in order for you to overcome that, there has to be another cause to create another effect. Meaning that you are responsible for learning something different based on where you are right now in order to experience something different. There's no emotions in that. It's just a cause and an effect. You don't want to be where you are, and whether that's a small thing or a big thing, There has to be a stepping stone for you where you actually learn and develop and grow cognitively, emotionally, and spiritually to be able to overcome and see beyond the blind spots in which you're limited to at this time in your life. And it was really fascinating, specifically in the masterclass that we did tonight, because what the women were sharing surrounding just finally having the clarity. They joined the masterclass, they learned something, or were pointed in a direction, validated in something that they already knew that they should be doing, which oftentimes is the case. When you're supporting your clients, oftentimes the advice you're giving them or the guidance you're giving them is already things that they know that they should be doing, but they're not doing. So then can you detach emotionally from what your desired result is for them and actually just support them in that space and intuitively know and be trained in the skill set to know how to take them down the reflection train to be able to uncover why. That is so important. There is a reason for everything. It's not because they're not doing it. It's honestly most often not because they don't have the time management or there's too much going on and there's not enough money. It's something underneath it. Why? Are you equipped with the tools and the capabilities to go to that depth with your clients and support them in overcoming it or coming out of it? Right? Because sometimes things can get uncovered that, one, you're definitely not equipped to support them with, and that's really important to understand for yourself. But two, be able to know your boundaries and know that there are things you can support them with or teach them to support themselves with so that they can come out of that hole that they feel like they are stuck in. What was so fascinating about the masterclass tonight is the women were sharing that they had so much more clarity just surrounding where their next steps logically needed to be. And again, I often find that within the spiritual entrepreneurship realm, that there's a lot of people who teach business that have next to no understanding of how business actually works. And I'm so grateful. At the time, I wanted to, the thing that came to my head is shoot myself in the face. It's so inappropriate, but that's what came up. I wanted to never go back to school again. I took 2 years in business admin and marketing and finance, and it was such a nightmare for me. I didn't do terribly. Like, I participated and I learned the stuff that I need to learn, but I walked away thinking like, I'm never going to use this. I'm literally never going to use this in my life. This was such a waste of like $25,000 and 2 years of my time. And sure enough, 4 years later, I actually end up starting my own business. Actually, I think it was a little bit longer than that. When did I finish? So I think it was 6 years later. 6 years later, everything that I had learned became wildly applicable, not only in just how to build a business, but how to run a business, how to manage a business, how to market a business. And then the tens of thousands of dollars I've invested in the last 3.5 years into coaches and courses and programs to even more support me in knowing that it was like light bulb moment after light bulb moment. When you don't know something, you do in fact need to learn it. Meaning that if you're struggling with something right now, there is a cause in your life that something is causing you stress or overwhelm or concern. The effect that you're looking for, the result that you're looking for is going to require an action from you. Because in the very thing that you're currently doing, the very actions you're currently taking is the cause and effect of keeping you in the same place. And if you're happy with where you are, then that's amazing. Keep doing what you're doing. Like, all the praise. But if there's something that you want to change, if you're struggling with sales, you're struggling with defining or honing in on a skill set, you are struggling with showing up and not throwing in the towel, or you're not even necessarily wanting to throw in the towel, but you're frustrated because it's like, how do I figure out what to do next? There has to be a different change. There has to be a different decision. When I really wanted to create something out of my business, I've shared this story before, I ended up investing our rent into a coach. And I don't recommend putting yourself in fight and flight response situations. However, for me at the time, something needed to give. I needed to do something different. I needed to change something. And my husband ended up coming home that same day and saying, hey babe, like, I just had a heart attack at work and I can't go back. I'm like, oh, shoot. We have 2 weeks until we need to pay this rent. And I just used it on a coach. So I showed up. The effect of what I desired, the result, required me to show up and make that money. Not only to do the homework and the work that was assigned by my coach so that I could generate the cash flow and be able to, develop the skill sets. I think we'd only had 2 calls, but right away I was honest. I was like, here's where I'm at. This is what I need. How do I do this? And I had already generated money in my business. So making money in my business wasn't something that was illogical to me. I wasn't like starting from nowhere, never even did anything online, and all of a sudden I'm showing up and expecting to make money. Like at this point, I was probably making about a steady $2,000 a month, which compared to what our bills were was very, very minimal. And that was pretty much all of it. Like everything that I was making, I basically just reinvested in the coach. And we were using my $2,000 a month to supplement a lot of our other personal costs. So we didn't have the money. I didn't have the open credit. I couldn't get a loan to be able to do this. But I was able to show up even more so. Sometimes, yes, believe it or not, you do have to work hard and sacrifice time. I think that's another thing that can really challenge a lot of people in the spiritual industries. They go in thinking you're gonna, have this incredible service, or you have this modality and it helps people, it helped you, but that, there's just this like dream that's all of a sudden built, like you only have to work 1 hour a day or something. And yeah, that got me too in the beginning. I'm like, how am I working so hard and like not really making a lot? Or how am I working so hard and not necessarily seeing a different result? Sometimes it's a strategy thing. You lack a strategy. Sometimes it's a mentality thing. You lack the reframe. Or third, it could actually just be that you're needing to put in the legwork to build the thing that you want. And that's often something that's not talked about often. So when you're building the legwork, having the strategy, having the understanding, having the steps clearly defined and laid out for you makes it so much easier to plan and manage your thoughts surrounding why it's not working, what you need to do next, where you get to put in effort or more effort, right? And these are all the things that we talk about in the Align and Ascend Mastermind. This 4th round is going to be a 90-day accelerator. All the throat chakra things. It's going to be a 90-day accelerator where we really dig into supporting you in the mindset and energy development, the intuition and coaching skill set so that you can, in fact, walk your clients through a deeper transformation. And thirdly, the business structure, management, organization, and understanding so that you can run a crystal clear and clean business. And then that idea of effortlessness can exist because you know what to do. It is all laid out. This is literally for you. If you're looking to replace your 5-figure job or your 6-figure job or get yourself to 5 or 6 figures in your business, this is the holy grail of programs for spiritual entrepreneurs. From adding in podcasts, how to monetize them, creating irresistible offers. We're going to be doing one-on-one coaching support, meaning that you're going to get assigned a coach to support you personally in where you're at and what you're doing. That's something I haven't offered before that I'm going to introduce into this round. And this is going to be the last round of the Align and Ascend Mastermind. So next year, this is going to get turned into a certification program. And when I have my maternity leave at the end of the year, that is literally what I'm going to be putting all my energy and effort into, aside from taking care of myself and the babes and just integrating with another child, which is so exciting. And I don't know if you follow me on Instagram or not, but we found out we're having a boy. So we're super excited to have 2 boys and 2 girls in the family. It was really cute when we did the announcement. It's on my Instagram Reels if you want to check it out. We were having a conversation with the kids and just like, what do you want it to be? I didn't find out on at the ultrasound, like they wrote it down on a card for me, but intuitively I already knew that I was having a boy because with my last two, I had these dreams. So with Philip, I had a dream about a little boy that I was chasing around. And then my husband knew if we had a boy, we were going to name him Philip. And so it was. And then with my daughter Clara, before I even found out I was pregnant, I was having these dreams of this little girl. And at the time I was doing mediumship readings, and I kept thinking, like, this little girl keeps popping up in all my visions and all my dreams. You know, she has to be for a client showing up. And so I'd basically start my mediumship sessions with, hey, do you have a little girl that you're wanting to connect with today? I just have one that keeps coming through in a dream. I'm trying to figure out where she's placed. And everybody would say, no. And I ended up having this one dream about her at 7 years old, and she was changing the world. She was doing something really big, and there's a beautiful sunset behind her, and she had these piercing blue eyes. And then I basically figured out that, I think I might be pregnant with a girl. And so I was. She doesn't have blue eyes, but she has this like really unique, it's not even hazel. It's like a green eyes, and then there's some brown in it, which is really, really cool. And then again, with this baby, I had a dream. I was serving. Any of you who have ever had a serving job, you know the horrors of the serving dreams. I had a dream. I was serving at this like elite party at some mansion place, and all of a sudden I realized that my son was with me, and it was my new son, and he was about 2 years old, and he was running around, and I had forgotten that he had come with me. And so I woke up with the worst mom guilt, and he's not even here yet, and I don't even serve. So anyways, and when I had that dream and I woke up, I was like, okay, yep, it's a boy. So I love being intuitively connected, because it just like, you just get the answers that you need, and the polls and the calls, they just all make so much sense the more and more that you practice with it. So that was a sidebar note of just something exciting in our lives right now. So I want to wrap this message up with you. The law of cause and effect is about the results that you're going to experience from the actions that you take. Whether that be a physical action, a mental thought, a spiritual connection, it ultimately, honestly, always ends up in the same way. For every cause, there is an effect. And how this relates to June, to tie this into the energy update for the month, June is a number of 6. So June is a power number, meaning that this is going to be such an incredible month to really be co-creating with physical action. The amount of force that comes through in this month in the best of ways is really going to set a very powerful precedence for you going into this next half of the year. When I originally sat down to map out the 12 universal laws that we're going to dig into each month, I didn't have what month that they were set with. I had started from 1 to 12, and I wrote down 12 laws as they came to me. And then I went and attached, okay, this is, the first one's gonna be January, February, March, April, May, June. And when I got to June and I wrote it down next to the law of cause and effect, I already knew, based on just the energy of this year overarchingly, and then in this power month, how important it is to really, truly define and understand this for yourself. So I'm going to tie this into, if you're listening to this from a place of seeking that personal development and guidance for yourself, you're really being called to step up and take action. And for my spiritual entrepreneurs, the same thing applies. You're really being called to step up and take that action. If you want different, you have to be willing to create different. I invested in a couple different masterminds over the last 6 months, and I didn't necessarily have the extra spending cash to do so. We've had a lot of big changes in our life, and we've been hyper vigilant on paying off debt. But I knew that if I wanted to stay consistent and I wanted to learn and network with people who were in a similar area or genre of their business as I was, or even further ahead so I could learn from them, it was going to require this investment. And there were a couple of times where we had to penny pinch to make sure that those payments were paid, but it was necessary. it was necessary because of the vision that I have, the direction that I want to go, and really making sure that I stay committed to this work. It's so easy to allow your mind to default into the pessimistic side of, I'm not seeing a result, or this isn't working, or I'm stuck in this place. And there were a couple times in the last few weeks where I'm like, there's something that's not jiving. There's something that's not working. There's something that I'm not seeing. And I would constantly repeat this over and over in my head. And I did this for about a week and a half until I realized and caught myself with the tools that I teach. Wait a minute. I'm directing. I am causing a specific result. I'm causing myself to perpetuate this idea that I am stuck and limited. And I'm not. I have so many resources and equally containers of support that I've invested in where I can turn to figure this out. And that's exactly what I did. And so it has been a lot of back end cleaning up, really reorganizing and redefining my services, and equally getting out and networking with people again. You go through these phases where you're very extroverted and then very introverted. And I'm naturally a much more introverted person. Like, I don't honestly really generally like talking to people for long periods of time. Even if it's friends and family, I like to just listen and observe. That's my thing. So don't ever take it personally. But when I'm jamming on something that I love, such as this, I can literally talk all day. Oh my goodness. Start me up on building a business or spiritual development or the importance of connecting with God and Jesus, and just sit down and let me talk. Right? But in anything else, I'm such an observer. So getting out and networking is something that it's not necessarily uncomfortable for me. It was in the beginning because I wasn't used to it. So naturally it wouldn't be. But now it's just one of those things where it's it doesn't necessarily resonate with me. However, when building a business, it is so wildly important. How do you expect to find your solutions, figure out the people who are going to support you, even find the clients that you're meant to support or prospecting for if you're not networking, whether that's in other communities, in masterminds, and joining programs, so on and so forth. Even in the mastermind right now, there are women in there that are connecting with and booking sessions with other women. So these are such great places for you to be in because your ideal client is also essentially the people in these spaces and containers, which is really cool. So I wanted to leave you with this for the energy update of June and the Align and Ascend Mastermind that's kicking off on July 5th. What you get upon enrollment is access to the previous guest trainers and speakers, and there is a plethora of really great trainings in there surrounding creating your policies and contracts, branding, creating irresistible offers, manifesting, conscious leadership. There's so many really cool trainings in there that can support you already with where you're at. And we won't have even kicked off on our 3 months of training and mentorship that starts on July 5th. So you can really get a leg up digging in right away. So the link is going to be in the show notes for you to tune into. The early bird pricing for the mastermind ends on May 30th. So it's going to be going up on June 1st, which is right before this episode airs. So you'll still have 2 days to take action if you want to hone in on those savings. Either way, I guarantee this is not going to be a container you want to skip out on. If you're really craving and seeking that 5-6 figure experience in your life, in your business, the clarity, the support, the community to really just propel you forward. So I'm going to leave you with that. I hope this was everything you needed and more, and I will see you again next week. Before you go, I would love and appreciate so much if you could take a moment of your time to leave a 5-star review. It helps me to be able to get this message out to so many more in the world, and I am so truly thankful that you choose this place to be every single week. Until next time, don't forget to find the magic in today.